Hello friends, welcome to AIMS India live sessions. In this video, we are going to discuss about language of chemistry. In the earlier class, we have started this language of chemistry. Some basic fundamentals of this chapter we have seen already. From the same chapter, language of chemistry, now we are going to see about ions or radicals. What are these ions? What are radicals? How they are formed? How many kinds of these ions are possible? How they can be formed? These all we are going to see in this video. So, in addition to atoms and molecules, a third type of particles occur in substances. In the previous basic classes, we have studied that matter is made up of atoms and molecules. In addition to these atoms and molecules, there are one more kind of particles which we call ions or radicals. These particles are called ions there. An atom or group of atoms carrying an electrical charge that might be either positive charge or negative charge are called as ions or radicals. An ion is formed when electrons are removed from an atom or electrons are added to an atom or group of atoms. These ions or radicals are formed when electrons are added to an atom or when electrons are removed from the atom. In these two cases, ions are formed, or sometimes not only from the atoms, so from certain group of atoms also electrons removed. In those cases also ions are formed. There, in those particular cases, generally to make it convenient, they are called the ions formed by the group of atoms by the removal or gaining of electrons are commonly called as radicals. So that is the only simple difference between the ions and radicals to make them convenient to define. Ions are formed by either by losing of electrons from the atoms or by gaining of electrons by the atoms. So, if electrons are lost or gained by the group of atoms and hence they form positive or negative charge, then the ions formed are called as in general radicals. For example, sodium on losing one electron, by the removal of one electron, sodium forms Na plus ion. So, this Na plus is called ion or positive ion. When chlorine loses one electron, it forms Cl minus ion, which is called negative ion. So, by the removal of electrons, some element they form ions. By the gaining of electrons, some atoms they form ions. In these two cases, ions or positive charged particles are formed, which we are calling as ions or radicals. When electrons are added, or one or more electrons are added, the resulting ion is called cation. Sorry, if one or more electrons are removed from an atom, then the resulting ion formed is called cation. A cation is positively charged. Why the cations are positively charged? We can give simple explanation here. If you see, they have given Na plus ion. This is called cation. This is formed by the loss of one electron by sodium atom. When one electron is lost by sodium atom, number of electrons will be less than the number of positive charges in its nucleus, and hence it will be appearing with a certain positive charge, and these are called positive ions. These are also called as cations. So, the ions formed by the removal of electrons from the atoms are called as cations. Example they have given here, Na plus ion, which is formed by the loss of one electron from sodium atom. When electrons are added, when one or more electrons are added to an atom, then the resulting ion is called as anion. These anions are negatively charged. For example, Cl minus ion. When chlorine gains one electron, it forms a Cl minus charged particle, which is called chlorine ion or chloride ion. It is also called anion. Why Cl will get a negative charge after gaining one electron? because initially in the neutral state chlorine has 17 electrons and 17 protons. Positive charges, negative charges both are equal. So it will be seen neutral. But when it is gaining one electron extra, that extra charge because of this electron is shown as its extra charge or power. This is called negative charged ion. These are also called anions. So the types of different ions, we can say ions or radicals are classified as monovalent, divalent, trivalent, tetravalent when the number of charges formed or number of charges over them is 1, 2, 3 or 4 etc. respectively. So based upon the number of electrons gained or based upon the number of electrons lost by an atom, the type of ion is categorized. They are of different kinds. If one electron is lost, then they are called monovalent. So in this way, based upon the number of electrons gained or lost by the atoms, these ions are categorized into different types: monovalent, divalent, trivalent, and even tetravalent. So let us see these one by one. The ionic charge represents the number of electrons lost or number of electrons gained by the atoms. So, if an element having certain positive charge or if an ion is represented with a certain positive charge, that the ionic charge, that the positive charge represents the number of electrons lost by that atom. If an ion represents some certain negative quantity of negative charge, that quantity of negative charge represents the number of electrons gained by that atom. The charge on ion indicated in the symbol or formula by a superscript number followed by the either positive or negative sign. So, by the loss of electrons or by the gaining of electrons, atoms or elements, they are forming ions. So, these ions are represented with a certain number in its superscript, which represents the number of electrons lost or the number of electrons gained. Along with that number, we represent either positive symbol or negative symbol. This positive or negative symbol represents either loss or gain. If it is positive symbol, that represents that element lost certain number of electrons. If it is shown negative in the superscript along with the number, that represents those many number of electrons are gained by that atom to form negative ion. For example, removing one electron from sodium atom creates sodium ion. Means here we can see sodium ion is represented like this. Na in the power it is shown superscript plus, that represents plus 1. Means the sodium ion is formed by the loss of one electron by sodium atom. So sodium ion is example for monoatomic ion. That means the ion formed from sodium atom by the loss of one electron, monoatomic, one atom of that sodium. Next, let us see different kinds of ions. That is, one of them is electropositive ions. The metallic ions formed by the donation of one or more electrons is called electropositive ion. Means the ions formed by the loss of electrons are called as electropositive ions. So these might be formed by either by losing one electron or more than one electrons also. So all formed by the loss of electrons are called as electropositive ions. These electropositive ions are also called as cations, we have seen earlier. So electropositive ions are also called as cations. So electropositive ions, the ions with the positive charge formed by the loss of electrons, simply to say. The ions with the positive charge which are formed by the loss of electrons are called as the electropositive ions, which are also called as cations. Example, here we can say H plus ion, Be plus 2 ion, Al plus 3 ion, lead plus 4 ion, strontium plus 5 ion. These all are positive ions or electropositive ions which are formed by the loss of either one or more than one electrons. So these all are coming under even cations also. These are called cations also. So now see monovalent electropositive ions. So let us see the name once again. Monovalent electropositive ions. The definition, it can be said, the metallic ion formed by the donation of one electron is called monovalent electropositive ion. So here you can see monovalency. One valency means the charge formed by the charged particle formed by the donation or the loss of one electron is called as a monovalent electropositive ion. For example, here we can say some monovalent electropositive ions, H plus ion. This is formed by the loss of one electron from hydrogen. If we see next one, sodium. Sodium is also forming its a positive ion by the loss of an electron, that is Na plus ion. So as there is only one charge, it is called monovalent electropositive ion, as it is being positive charge, electropositive charge. Rubidium ion, ammonium ion, it is one different from the remaining three. Ammonium ion, it is formed by the loss of electron from group of atoms, NH4 plus. It is an ion formed by group of atoms by the loss of one electron. It is also called ion. To make it convenient, we call this specially radical. The ions formed by the group of atoms, simply they are called even radicals also. So these all come under electropositive ions, which are formed electropositive, monovalent electropositive ions. Next, divalent electropositive ions. In the name itself, we can identify easily its definition. Di represents two. Valent, the valency or charge formed by the donation of two electrons. So the ions with two positive charges which are formed by the loss of two electrons. So definitionally you can say like this: the metallic ions which are formed by the donation of two electrons are called as divalent electropositive ions. Examples we can see here: beryllium plus 2 ion, magnesium plus 2 ion, calcium plus 2 ion, strontium. These all ions are formed by the loss of two electrons by those atoms. So that can be shown here in the superscript with the number of electrons lost by them. How to know as they are lost these electrons? That is known by this plus symbol. This plus symbol represents the loss of electrons in the charge, and the number represents the number of electrons donated or lost by those atoms. So if I say Be plus 2 ion, this Be plus 2 ion is formed by the loss of two electrons. So these all are called as divalent electropositive ions. Next one, trivalent electropositive ions. The metallic ions formed by the donation of three electrons are called as trivalent electropositive ions. Let us see some examples for these also. Al plus 3, Fe plus 3, cobalt 3 plus, strontium plus 3. These all are ions which are formed by the loss of three electrons. I think while the giving definition, it is said here metallic ions. Why only metals? Yes, we know only metals they can lose electrons. That is why especially they are called metallic ions, which they lose generally ions. So if a metal loses three electrons, then the ion formed by that metal is called as trivalent metallic ion or trivalent electropositive ion. Next one, tetravalent electropositive ions. So in the name tetra represents 4. So the valency 4 is formed by the loss of 4 electrons. So the 4 positive charges are created on the atom by the loss of or by the donation of 4 electrons by that element. So definitionally you can say the metallic ions which are formed by the either donation or by the loss of 4 electrons are called as electropositive ions. Tetravalent electropositive ions. You can say an example here: lead plus 4 ion, tin plus 4 ion. These are examples for the tetravalent electropositive ions. Next one, electronegative ions. So an ion or radical which is formed by the acceptance of electrons, either one electron or more than one electrons, are called as electronegative ions. These electronegative ions are also called as anions. So the ions which are formed by the gaining of electrons are called as electronegative ions. So these electronegative ions are called as anions. Generally, non-metals, they accept electrons and hence they form negative charges and they form anions. So electronegative ions are formed by non-metals. So they form non-metallic ions are anions. Electropositive ions are generally formed by metals. So cations are formed by metals in general. Now let us see about these anions. Examples they are have shown here. Cl minus, which is called chloride ion or chlorine ion. So here by the gaining of one electron, chlorine ion is formed. Or if you see oxygen ion, O minus 2, by gaining of 2 electrons, oxygen forms its ion. Nitrogen by gaining of 3 electrons, carbon by gaining of 4 electrons. These all ions are formed by the gaining of one or more than one electrons, and hence these are called as electronegative ions or anions. Now, the different types of electronegative ions. First among them is monovalent electronegative ion. An ion or radical formed by the acceptance of only one electron is called as monovalent electronegative ion. For example, we see chloride ion, Cl minus ion, OH minus ion, NO, nitrogen oxide minus ion, NO minus ion. These all coming under the ions which are formed by the gaining of only one electron. So they are called monovalent electronegative ions. And you can identify here, this is the ion which is formed by single atom, monoatomic ion. And if you observe this hydroxide ion and this NO minus ion, these are formed by more than one atoms. So these can be called as radicals also, negative radicals. And all these commonly called as ions and negative electronegative ions. Next, divalent electronegative ions. So the ions or radicals which are formed by the acceptance of two electrons are called as divalent electronegative ions. Example, O minus 2, sulfur minus 2 ion, SO4 minus 2 ion, which is called sulfate ion. So oxide ion, sulfide ion, sulfate ion. These all, if you observe, they have minus 2 charge. That represents they have attained this negative charge by gaining 2 extra electrons into them. So they are having 2 minus charge. These are called divalent electronegative ions. And these two we can identify monoatomic ions. This is polyatomic ion. Polyatomic in the sense the ion formed by the group of atoms. We can say simply them radicals also. Next, trivalent electronegative ion. Simply based upon the name itself, we can say the ion or radical which is formed by the acceptance of 3 electrons is called trivalent electronegative ion. Examples you can see for this also some nitride ion, boride ion, phosphate ion. These all are the ions which are formed by the acceptance of 3 electrons. And here also nitride ion, boride ion are monoatomic ions. Single atom they are gaining 3 electrons. If you say phosphate ion, it is the ion which is formed by a group of atoms and they have gained 3 extra electrons. That we can say polyatomic electronegative ion. So here we can say, we can note one point here. The size of cation is always smaller than its corresponding atom as it lost electrons. Yes, we can see here, for example, sodium atomic size is greater than the sodium ions size, because in sodium we know its atomic number is 11. It has 11 electrons. They are revolving around its nucleus, as we know. But when it forms Na plus ion, it lost one electron there. Number of electrons are reduced Na plus. So size will be decreased further. So this Na plus ion is called cation. So cations are having always smaller size than their parent atom or neutral atom. In the similar way, we can say the size of anion is always greater than its corresponding atom. As it gained electrons. That means, if you say an example for this also, chlorine atom and chlorine ion. If we compare the size of these two, chlorine ion is having greater size than chlorine atom. Why? Because chlorine, as we know, its atomic number is 17. It has 17 electrons in its orbits. When it gains one more electron, that number of electrons becomes now 18 electrons. So the accommodation of these electrons becomes tight, and hence they come a little away from the nucleus. So size increases. So as the number of electrons gaining increases, size also gradually increases. So the ions formed by gaining of electrons we are calling as anions. So the size of anion is greater than its parent atom or neutral atom. Size of cation is smaller, size of anion is greater than their original atoms. So this is about the different cations and anions, or simply to say ions are radicals. I hope you understood what is an ion. The ion is the charged particle which is formed by the atoms either by gaining electrons or by loss of electrons. So the ions formed by the gaining of electrons are called as anions. The ions formed by the loss of electrons are called as cations. If the ions are formed by the group of atoms, then they are simply called radicals also. Fine. Let us assess ourselves based upon this which we have seen till now. See the question based upon this content given. When electrons are removed, or if one or more electrons are removed, then the resulting ion is called. Just now I have told ions are of two kinds. They might be formed either by the gaining of electrons by the atoms or by the removal of electrons. Now let us see options given here. Anion, cation, either A or either anions or cations. None of these. Can you guess the answer for this? When electrons or one or more electrons are removed from an atom, then the resulting ion is called as. Yes, some of you are being answered. Yes, it is. You are correct here. The correct answer is given. Already. Yes, many of you are giving correct answer. Right. Very good. It is a cation. That is also called as electropositive ion. You can see one example also for that. Sodium, on losing one electron, it is forming Na plus ion, which is a cation. It is also called as electropositive ion. And this electropositive ion is formed by the loss of one electron. Hence, it is also called as monovalent electropositive ion. Fine. Let us go to second question. Which of the following elements can form trivalent electropositive ion? See, sodium, aluminium, magnesium, hydrogen. Out of these four elements, which can form trivalent electropositive ion? So let us see once again the name, trivalent electropositive ion. So it should form positive ion. Hence, it should be either hydrogen or a metal. So all the elements, if you observe here, sodium, aluminium, magnesium are metals. Even the fourth one, hydrogen, also can form positive ion. So all are correct here. And it should form trivalent electropositive ion. Means the positive ion should be formed by the loss of 3 electrons. So which element can lose 3 electrons here? That will be correct answer. Let us see one by one here. Sodium, if you see, sodium atomic number is 11. It can lose only 1 electron and it forms monovalent electropositive ion. So sodium is not the correct answer. If you see aluminium, its atomic number is 13. So its configuration will be 2, 8, 3. The last outermost shell 3 electrons it can lose and it can form Al plus 3 ion. So aluminum will be correct answer for this. Magnesium can form divalent electropositive ion as its atomic number is 12. It has only 2 valence electrons. And hydrogen can form, as in the examples you have seen, it can form monovalent electropositive ion. So correct answer here now is, yes, many of you given correct answer B. Fine. Here they have shown aluminum can form Al plus ion by losing 3 electrons. That is correct. Let's go to next question. Hydrogen can form. Just now I have finished this. Anyhow, try to answer this also. Trivalent electronegative ion, divalent electropositive ion, divalent electronegative ion, monovalent electropositive ion. So hydrogen has only one electron in its shell. So what kind of ion it can form now? By loss of this electron, it can form monovalent electropositive ion. As it is having only one electron, it can lose it when combines with other elements, and hence it forms a cation that is also called monovalent electropositive ion. So correct answer is, yes, many of you are giving correct answer. Fine. D is correct answer. Yes, we can see here hydrogen by the loss of one electron it forms H plus ion. One more question here. Can you fill the blank given? Sodium minus one electron gives 2 Na plus, Na minus, Na2 plus. Which will be correct suitable option to fill in the blank given? Is it 2Na or Na plus or Na minus or Na2 plus? You can identify there sodium is losing one electron. By the loss of electrons, elements they form positive ions. If it is losing one electron, it forms monovalent electropositive ion, and hence the correct answer is, yes, monovalent, correct. Many of you are giving correct answer. Very good. Na plus is correct answer. Next, one more question here. Oxygen molecule minus gives 2 O minus 2 ions. Can you fill the blank here also? Try to fill it. Options are given like this: 2 electrons, 1 electron, 3 electrons, and 4 electrons. Can you guess the answer for this? There is a chance to be confused in this. Oxygen molecule losing certain electrons to form 2 oxide ions. So how many electrons are lost by this oxygen molecule here? Any guessing answers? Is it 2 electrons or 1 electron or 3 electrons or 4 electrons? Yes, it is many, if you were trying but wrong. So it is D is correct answer, because each oxygen atom loses 2 electrons. In the molecule of oxygen, there are 2 oxygen atoms. Each losing 2 electrons, total it becomes 4 electrons. So by the loss of 4 electrons, 2 oxide ions are formed, because here they have shown 2 oxide ions. If it is only one oxide ion, we can say simply 2 electrons, because there is a charge 2 minus ion. The number of electrons gained there. It should be gained, not lost. Now we can say, by the gaining of how many electrons, these 2 oxide ions are formed? By gaining of 4 electrons, because each oxide ion is formed by the gaining of 2 electrons from outside. 2 oxide ions are formed, hence total number of electrons accepted here are 4 electrons. So D is correct answer. Next, one more last question here. Fluorine atom gains electrons, either one or more, and forms. So element generally by gaining of electrons, they form ions which are called anions. So what is ion formed by here? Fluorine atom. Let us see. Options given like this: F minus, F2 minus, F plus, F2 plus ion. Answer is F minus, because fluorine atomic number is 9. It is having 7 electrons in valence shell, by gaining one more electron, it can become more stable. So it is ready to take one electron, hence it forms one minus ion or one negative charge, which we call as fluoride anion or fluoride ion. F minus ion is formed by the loss of by gaining one electron by fluorine. So this is about different ions or radicals, positive ions, negative ions, or electropositive ions, electronegative ions, cations, anion ions. So thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon so that you will get latest about our live sessions, when it is going to be a class, on which topic it is going to be. These all updates will be getting directly to your mobile if you subscribe our channel. Thank you.